Perfect. Okay. Yeah, at some point it will become a little bit technical, so please do not hesitate to ask any questions while I'm talking. I'd rather just stop talking and explain it before I continue. So yeah, we're gonna give a high-level overview of stablecoins. This is our outline for today. We talk about what stablecoins are, the different types, several stablecoins we are interested in, and I will go into depth for today. And of course, we cannot miss the fall of UST and the Luna network. And then we will finish up with a quiz. So, what are stablecoins? The stablecoins are defined by that they are designed. These are tokens that are assigned to minimize the volatility by being pegged to a stable asset. And some example of these stable assets can be like fiat currency, like the US dollar, the euro, or the yen. Can also be gold or silver, or other cryptocurrencies. Then, before we dive into each specific stablecoin we will be talking about, we have to distinguish the stablecoins, and we have two categories: convertible stablecoins, which are backed by assets kept in a reserve. These are called convertible because they can be directly converted to the asset it is backed to. We have which are mostly reserves of US dollar or also gold, as we'll be talking about that later on. So some examples are USDT, USDC, and Binance USD, and maybe a less famous one is PAX G, and we talk about that in a minute. Then we have the synthetic or algorithmic stablecoins. These are artificially maintained to have a value similar to that of fiat currencies. So we call that a soft peg because they're not really pegged to a US dollar, but they're artificially maintained. So they're not directly convertible for fiat currencies. And examples are crypto collateral stablecoins such as DAI. We will talk a bit about DAI later on. Derivatives such as XUSD, and XUSD is a stablecoin built on Binance USD. Not going too much into that, but it's derived from another stablecoin. And then we have, of course, the algorithmic stablecoins such as Terra USD, or its other name is UST. So we, as I mentioned before, we want to talk about USDT, PAX Gold, DAI, and Terra USD in this specific order. Starting with Tether USD, probably have used this stablecoin while trying to buy some other cryptocurrencies. And Tether is, I think, a company based in Asia. It's a centralized ERC20 token backed by the US dollar. So it's considered a safe haven, as for every USDT minted, an equal amount of USD is allocated to the reserve. So it's quite simple, not so technical yet. Although there are some issues or insecurities regarding USDT, is that it's never been fully publicly audited, and there are some claims that all issued stablecoins are not fully backed by the dollar reserves. I'm not going to debunk or confirm any of these claims, but that is why some people might not fully trust Tether and USDT. But also, it's considered too big to fail, and of course, I want you to realize or to make that choice yourself when using this stablecoin. So not financial advice, obviously, But this is the info I get from CoinMarketCap. It has a fully diluted market cap of almost 80 billion. So if that is too big to fail, that is up to you to decide. But it's quite there are a lot of reserves needed to, of course, back 80 billion of USDT. Of course, the basic idea of demand, supply and demand, as we will talk, which will become more obvious when we look at USD. Still, the small changes that Tether is experiencing is mainly because of high or low demand for the stablecoin. So that's the main reason why we see those changes. But as long as they are fully backed by a dollar, it should create this arbitrage opportunity, as it will go back to one eventually. But there will always be a bit of fluctuation in that, especially when the market is insecure and the bear market starts to hit. That those fluctuations might happen, but it's mainly the short answer is the demand, the changes in demand, and people selling or buying USDT. So on to the next stable coin. We have the PAX Gold is a centralized gold-backed ERC20 token. So this is a convertible stablecoin, but it is not looking to match the worth of $1, but it's equal to 1 fine troy ounce of a London good delivery gold bar. I haven't looked that much into what this exactly is defined as, but we can say that it's tied directly to the real-time market value of physical gold. It's stored in professional vault facilities, and it's convertible as it can be converted directly to allocated gold, unallocated gold, or fiat using the PAX's platform. So as we try to generate a decentralized world, of course, having centralized reserves of gold and USD to back up USDT and other stablecoins that are pegged to the US dollar, of course, that doesn't really match. I mean, of course, USDT is used frequently, but what's more interesting is, of course, the more decentralized options. And one of them is the DAI stablecoin, so the DAI is a decentralized cryptocurrency-backed stablecoin. It is invented by MakerDAO, and it uses the Maker protocol. So it's going to become a little bit technical in a bit. This nice logo of the MakerDAO, and it has a soft peg to the US dollar. So one DAI is worth $1, and to generate DAI, the Maker protocol accepts any Ethereum-based asset as collateral. At first, it was mainly Ether, but now through their governance system using the MKR governance token, potential ERC20 assets can be voted for to also be used as collateral in the Maker protocol. So the price stability is reached through a set of smart contracts called the Collateralized debt position, and also, of course, that is part of the Maker protocol, which are a bigger set of smart contracts. But I would like to go a bit more into depth of the Collateralized debt position, also abbreviated as CDP. So what is a CDP? Well, it's basically a loan. So what happens is you provide collateral. This can be Ether or any other accepted ERC20 token through their governance system, and you will receive or generate a certain amount of DAI, which depends on how much of collateral you give and what your collateralization ratio is. So, of course, there are some formulas involved with this, and the Maker protocol has set a minimum collateralization ratio of 150%. So this means that to get the maximum DAI that you can generate in this formula, you need the total collateral value, which can be 1 ETH or 2 ETH, whatever amount you want to put up as collateral, and then divide that by 1.5. But that is, of course, the minimum. And if there are some downwards price fluctuations, this could cause trouble, and you have to pay back the DAI that you were borrowing. And we will go into that depth more about this. But it is advised to have a bit of a higher collateralization ratio, which will all become more clear in the next coming slides. In the next slide. So if we change this formula a little bit, what we get is that the amount of ETH or asset in a wallet should be at least 1.5 times the amount of borrowed DAI. So if we have an example here, in the case of 1 ETH is $100, we can open a CDP. We deposit 1 ETH as collateral, which is then $100. This will give 100 divided by 1.5, so we fill in this formula here, which will give 66.6666 DAI, which is the maximum amount of DAI you can borrow. So that is by filling in this formula. If ETH rises to $200, you can generate 66 more DAI, because then the total collateral value would be $200, divide that by 1.5, and that will give you a total of 133 DAI tokens. But then that doubles, so the problem, of course, starts during a bear market. When ETH drops down to $100 again, and you chose to generate 66 more DAI, you have a total of 133, you have to pay back the extra 66.6. And if you are not able to pay that back, you will be liquidated. And how that exactly happened, we will talk. I will show some figures to actually clarify a bit more, so that we don't only have to look at some words. So if we focus on the 66 DAI that we try to borrow at first, we have 1 ETH, once again, which is worth $100. We open a CDP. Then here in our wallet, we have 1 CDP. It contains 1 ETH, but we haven't generated or received any DAI. So that would be then the next step. We get the maximum amount we can borrow, which is 66. You owe this 66 DAI, and you can do whatever you want with the DAI. You can invest that, get more DAI, or make sure not to lose it, because you have to pay back that amount to close the CDP. So you have to destroy the DAI. You do not, or actually return. You're not owing any DAI to the Maker protocol, and then the 1 ETH will be returned to you. So that is the very most simplified form of a CDP. Put up a collateral, you receive DAI, pay back your loan at some point and you will get back your collateral. So what I mentioned before is that the maker governance token is only involved in deciding which asset can be used to put up as collateral. Maybe they decide that you can also put up Shiba Inu, right? But that's done through the maker protocol. I'm not, I haven't exactly looked at like why people would be incentivized to use DAI, but I'm pretty sure that there are some yields you can get by putting your DAI up in maybe a liquidity pool, right? So you could use the DAI to generate a profit. So yeah, to clarify this even more, I chose to give a bit of a slightly different example where the person does not borrow the maximum amount of DAI, where the collateralization ratio is 200%, so it's higher than the minimum. And once again, this is a reminder, amount of ETH that should be in the wallet is at least 1.5 times the amount of DAI that you have borrowed. So, of course, once again, we have a borrower, provides collateral. In this case, 1 ETH is $2,000. Then the maker protocol provides 1,000 DAI, or the person chose to not get the maximum amount of DAI, but to only get 1,000, because the maximum would be 1,333. So with only 1,000 DAI, that person can do whatever they want, maybe get some yields, get some return on their DAI, and then eventually pay back the loan with the interest and get their collateral returned, as we already discussed before. But then I want to visualize also the whole event of liquidation. So in this case, we have a small bear market where the price of 1 ETH is 2,000, turns into 1 ETH is $1,400. And of course, it's below the collateral or that threshold, which would have been 1,500, as they borrow only 1,000 DAI. So if that person is not able to pay back their DAI loan and ETH goes under that threshold, the maker protocol will then put up that 1 ETH as for auction, and the auction determines that the loan will be paid back with the interest and also a penalty, and then the remaining amount will then be returned to the borrower. But that's only in the case if you cannot pay back your loan and the collateral is below the debt threshold. All right, so the next and last but not least, well, actually it is the least at the moment, but Terra USD, abbreviated as UST, is part of the Luna network, which we're all pretty much aware. That it was softpegged to USD using an algorithm / market maker. So I want to explain the burn and minting mechanism first. So in this hypothetical example, we have a market with a high demand for USD. And a high demand for USD could be that people want to get some, they sold off their crypto, want to go to a more stable yield on the Anchor protocol maybe. Back then that was around 20% return, which is quite high. But that could be a reason why people want to have some more USD. So what then happens if a lot of people want to buy USD, the peg will be greater than $1, depending on how high demand is, how big this increase will be. So what happens then is an event called expansion. And expansion is directed to the supply of USD. So there will be an increase in USD, so they mint USD, and then the market maker protocol, abbreviated as MM, or the algorithm, can do two things. It can burn Luna, or it can create this arbitrage opportunity. So, or allow for this arbitrage opportunity to be taken by a seller. This person will swap their Luna for USD, and then they could sell that USD at this higher price. And if they sell the USD, this will lower the price of USD. And and of course, as a coming back to the question about Tether, why is it changing so much? Of course, there's this fluctuation in high and low demand, causing this fluctuation. But of course, with an algorithmic stable coin, there is way more fluctuation. So this is one arbitrage opportunity. So when there's a high demand, there will be more USD, and the protocol allows for the arbitrage opportunity to occur, or there will be a burn of Luna. But if we look at the other side of the story, so when there's a low demand, so people rather just want to hold their crypto, the USD, and or want to buy crypto, so they sell their USD. The peg will be below $1. This will cause something called contraction, and contraction, of course, means that the supply becomes smaller. So Luna will be minted, and the market maker protocol can then burn the USD, causing the contraction of the USD market, and or it can create this arbitrage opportunity. So you get people will then swap their USD for Luna, and then with that Luna they will buy USD at this lower price because it's of course below $1, and as it was a given that USD would eventually return to $1. This would give this arbitrage opportunity, increasing the price of USD and keeping its peg to $1. And mainly the contraction is a very important event, as we will talk about that in the fall, or why the Luna network fell, and why there was a low demand. So with contraction, once again, Luna will be minted, USD will be burned, and then people could use that Luna to then, so they sell the Luna, buy USD, keeping that USD peg to $1. And of course, it's probably slightly more interesting part. So why did Luna and USD fall? Well, the Anchor protocol is the key player. Probably aware of that protocol. It's pretty much a money market. People could put up their stable coins and get some quite high yields, like around 20%. But at some point, it is highly reliant on USD. It's part of the Luna network. And at some point, of course, Anchor Protocol reduced their yields. So we all knew that Anchor Protocol would not maintain those high yields. So what happened is this mass exit, as the Anchor Protocol was less attractive. So there was, well, I wrote here no use, but there was significantly less use or demand for USD, because Anchor Protocol is highly reliant on USD. So we're not 100% sure, but people are quite sure that the root cause was these large withdrawals of USD from the Anchor Protocol and then transferred to Ethereum using the wormhole bridging protocol. So this protocol allows to transfer assets across different blockchains. That's called the wormhole. And this there are two reasons that initiated the death spiral. And the first reason is the burn and minting mechanism that we just discussed. So I wanted to focus on the contraction part. If a lot of USD is sold, the price of USD will go down. So then contraction happens, Luna will be minted, and you might remember that there was so much Luna minted that eventually you had a supply of billions. And then, of course, during the contraction, USD will be burned, or this arbitrage opportunity should occur. So what happened is a continuous minting of Luna, which inflated, of course, the supply, led to price depreciation in an attempt to burn enough USD to return to its soft peg. So that's one important reason. And the second important reason is the curve liquidity pool. So what happened when the funds were transferred from the Luna network through the wormhole bridging protocol to Ethereum, on the curve liquidity pool is, or the curve protocol is on the Ethereum network, and USD was then sold for USDC or USDT in a pool with most major stablecoins. So if some of you probably remember the last class we had about liquidity pools and bonding curves, when there's too much of one asset in liquidity pool, it leads to the correction, the algorithmic correction. So what happens, USD was offered on a discount for an arbitrage opportunity. But unfortunately, the traders were not buying that arbitrage opportunity. There's low demand in general, probably also caused by Anchor Protocol decreasing their yields and maybe some other factors. Did not buy that discount. And then the last thing that caused the death spiral is there was so much price depreciation of Luna, so much minting of Luna, that the market cap of USD overtook Luna's market cap. And as we know, the Luna was used to buy up the USD in the Luna network. But if Luna is worth less, then you cannot cover and buy up all that USD with Luna. So this initiated the death spiral, and of course, why the Luna network, well, pretty much failed. There are some other factors, of course. I tried to simplify it as much as possible. So what did we discuss today? We have discussed that stablecoins are tokens on a blockchain network. They are pegged to a stable asset, which is often the US dollar. They can be convertible or synthetic or algorithmic. Convertible stablecoins, as we discussed, like USDT or USDC, which have reserves backing the USDT. PAX G has gold reserves. And then for the synthetic stablecoins that we discussed today, we have DAI that is crypto backed. We have UST that was algorithm backed. And DAI is backed by the Ether or ERC20 assets that have been chosen through the governance mechanism. And they are backed through this collateralized debt position protocol. The soft peg of UST was maintained algorithmically by leveraging the arbitrage opportunities, which eventually did not suffice those arbitrage opportunities, as the decrease in demand, followed by a large sell position of UST, it led to Luna's market cap becoming lower than UST's market cap, so Luna could not cover the contraction to maintain the peg of USD to $1 US dollar. Thanks for tuning into the Tokenomics Academy of Valorize DAO. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more tokenomics content. And see you at the next one.